Welcome to The Review, a Rev Partnership Podcast, where we host conversations that share the power of public education and its impact on our region. I'm your host, Dr. Elizabeth Brands. In each episode, we will explore the stories, insights, and conversations that shape the future of student learning and growth in our region. Tarrant County is a community with incredible power and potential. At the heart of this power is our public education. Education is more than just a foundation. It's a catalyst for transformation. Let's jump into the episode. Welcome. I am in this room. If you would have heard the pre-conversation, you would hear what a rockin' room of women we have on this Friday afternoon. Welcome to The Review, a Rev Partnership Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Elizabeth Brands. And today our conversation is about celebrating how K-12 public education and our regional higher ed partners are thinking creatively and working together and being innovative to build the effective regional educator pipeline that we know all of our students in Tarrant County need. Today I'm joined by Dr. Jennifer Cowley, the president of the University of Texas at Arlington, Dr. Lesley Leach, the dean of the College of Education at Tarleton State University, and Dr. Dana Eldredge, the director of Career and Technical Education, or CTE, at Eagle Mountain-Saginaw ISD. Thank you all for joining us. Dr. Cowley, you are the first female president at UTA, at long last, I would have to say, probably, right?
Yes, 127 years later, we got our first female president of UTA, and certainly not the last.
Yeah, well, about time, right? Yes. You are a true advocate of public education and of keeping our Texas kids in Texas public education. Before joining UT Arlington in 2022, you served in a number of roles that were from public education, higher ed, even working in some jobs it looks like kind of on the political science side and at a city planner's office?
Yeah, I was trained as a city planner, so I wanted to make communities better. And so I transitioned from community building in city government into community building in higher education. It's been a wonderful career.
Fun fact. You are a radio DJ. Did I get that right?
I was a radio DJ in college. It was a fun student organization activity and allowed me to build my public speaking skills and how to be quick and prompt in responses in those 20-second bits between songs.
That's awesome. And we want to send a huge congratulations to UTA for the recognition that they just received from the U.S. Department of Education, being one of 3 4-year colleges in the nation to be recognized by the U.S. Department of Education for its success in educating underserved students and putting them on the pathway to be successful after graduation. I mean, let's just pause for a minute. All the universities in the nation, you were one of 3. I mean, that is incredibly impressive right here in our backyard.
It was phenomenal that the Department of Education identified universities across the country that are doing the most to uplift those with need. We have phenomenal outcomes with the highest starting salaries of any university in our region and do so much to impact so many. And so we really appreciated the honor and to be recognized at the national level.
And we can't forget, too, about the Blaze Forward program, where you can go to UTA if your family earns less than $100,000, totally free, tuition free.
That's correct. 49% of our students attend tuition free today. And with the increase in that income cap to $100,000, we are going to be able to serve that many more Texans and help them remove the worry of the cost of education on their pathway to achieve their dream.
Okay. Well, I know Dr. Dana Eldredge has a junior in high school that she's thinking about getting ready for college, and there might be many others listening. So write that down. If you're looking for a tuition-free path to college, give Dr. Cowley a call. We also want to welcome Dr. Lesley Leach, who is the new dean of the College of Education at Tarleton State. She's had a long career at Tarleton, but stepping into this role more recently, and even started your career. Was it your first job as an elementary school teacher?
It was. Back in Grapevine Colleyville ISD. I taught 5th grade, and it was fantastic.
Right here in Tarrant County. So you've had a long career of public education right here in Tarrant County.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. And in your role, you lead the colleges, the entire department, College of Education at Tarleton, and all the programs that are operating under that. including the Center for Educational Excellence that's supporting faculty in that instructional design, course development, community engagement training, and even that experiential learning, which we know is so important for our prospective teachers.
And that was my former role that I just transitioned out of into the deanship. But it was a fantastic role, and it's given me a lot of perspective on faculty development as well as now student success and that moving into the College of Ed. So it has definitely played into and prepped me well, I think, for the deanship.
Wonderful.
Sure.
So are you counting your new job in terms of number of days on the job or weeks, or what are we at these days?
I think I'm at 3 weeks now, officially.
Okay.
So,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate that.
Well, wonderful.
Thank you.
And also joining us today is Dr. Dana Eldredge, who has been at Eagle Mountain-Saginaw ISD for the past 21 years in the role of the Director of CTE, or College and Technical Education Training. And before that, served in 10 years as a high school business and computer technology teacher in Dallas and Tarrant County.
Yes.
So started your career coming from industry into that CTE high school position. So your perspective is going to be really special for today. Not only do you have a high school student that's going through kind of those courses, but you started your career as a CTE teacher in our local high schools. You are a graduate of both the University of North Texas and also Texas A&M, where you got your doctoral degree.
I did. Okay. It was Texas A&M Commerce, which just changed to East Texas A&M.
Okay.
Had to change that on everything I now have. But all of that was a great experience for me. And I think 31 years in public ed has taught me a lot. And we talked about the changes that have happened over so many years and how things have evolved and the cooperation between high school and post-secondary and how it's grown. And yes, I do have a 16-year-old, and pray for me daily. We're bringing her along.
We will. Well, thank you, ladies. And today our conversation is really about how we are in Tarrant County. We're swinging for the fences for our kids. We know that our kids get one shot at their pathway from high school to higher ed, and whatever that is that they choose post-secondary, whether it is a career program or a 4-year program, and how our higher ed partners are starting with yes, and how can we do what's best for kids in Tarrant County. And we have seen both of your universities model this in our region by starting with what's good for kids, and then we'll figure it out from there. And so we're excited about this conversation and celebrating the innovation that higher ed is bringing to our region, and innovation with students at the heart of every decision that you are making. And then to hear from Dr. Eldredge how this trickles down to our K-12 students and impacting them, the high school experience, and their persistence into post-secondary and beyond. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to this wonderful conversation. So as we get started here today, I think one of the things we really want to uncover or unpack is how and why did higher ed become so innovative? I think it hasn't always been our perception of higher ed to be innovative, to think outside the box. We don't see that necessarily from all of our higher ed partners across the region or the state, but both of your institutions have really modeled that and have been exemplars of that. And when we think too specifically about the innovation both of you have led in your colleges of education, that's a place that is ripe with opportunity. We employ in Tarrant County 35,000 educators in our 17 independent school districts here. That makes our independent school districts collectively the largest regional employer. In our high schools, Eagle Mountain-Saginaw's high schools included, and the 17 others across Tarrant County, 3,800 students have gone into high school electing that CTE education and training pathway. They are saying, as middle school students entering high school and high school students, I want to be a teacher. And for all of us who have started our careers as teachers at various different levels and stages of the early learning through post-secondary continuum, we know how vitally essential it is to have exceptional men and women filling those positions, and how important it is to have them from our local community, because we know then they are more likely to come back and teach in our local school districts. The retention number its retention numbers for those employees are higher. And we often see, too, that they are more impactful for students because of the relative and relatable lived experience that it says that they have. So lots of quantifiable and tangible benefits to making sure that we're growing our regional educator pipeline that is homegrown right here in Tarrant County. I kind of laid out some numbers in terms of what we see when we see our regional educator pipeline. But what were your universities looking at when you said, we're going to say yes to these things? And I'm going to get a little bit more specific. At UTA this year really launched this alternative certification program. This was game-changing for our region. Across the state of Texas, and the numbers are the same here in Tarrant County, teachers who are not certified, have no teaching certificate, is the fastest growing subpopulation of teachers. In our elementary schools, some of the numbers are as high as 30% of our teachers who enter the elementary school teaching profession without a teaching certificate. And when UTA heard from our K-12 partners that this was a need, they answered the call and said yes. And I'm just really curious, Jennifer, what motivated you and your leadership at UTA to say yes, and let's figure out how to get this done for our region?
Well, I'll say first and foremost, we recognize the role that we have in supporting the economic development of our region. Mm-hmm. In order to grow our economy, we have to have talent. In order to have talent, you have to have a well-educated young population. And that starts with who are those educators that are teaching our kids in pre-K through university. And so as we look at where are those key needs, we saw several key areas. One, bilingual education. We're the largest producer of bilingual educators in our region. That is a critical area of need. Special education, 11% of our students in our schools experience special education. And so we have a program fully covering the cost of education for special educators at the master's level to help students that have the most significant disabilities to be able to succeed in school. And then when it came to looking at that traditional teacher pipeline, we do a great job. We've produced more than 15,000 teachers since we launched our College of Education in the 1970s. But that's only covering a sliver of the educators that are being produced. There are so many people who come to education after they've pursued another career that say, wow, after I've experienced working in this other industry, I really want to give back. I want to be a teacher. We have to make it as easy as possible for people to make those choices. And so with the support of your foundation and others, it was easy to say, yes, let's figure out how to make this work and design something that's really going to support our school districts, and listening to our school districts first about what is your need and how can we design a program that provides that mentorship and support alongside that classroom learning that will help someone become a successful teacher. So it was an easy yes for us because we saw the need and we know it'll have long-term implications for success.
Okay, you have to repeat that part about special education and the master's degree program. Say that again. What do you provide?
So we provide, with a grant from the Department of Education, the ability to attend a special education program free of charge, and we're able to provide support for housing and daycare so that people who want to go into special education can make that choice and be able to get into that classroom as quickly as possible.
That's phenomenal. And maybe Dr. Eldredge, too, can speak to this, but what we're seeing with the need and the demand of special education teachers in the region and growing number of students who need those services. This is a subpopulation of teachers that we are very often vacancies in at the beginning of the year and all throughout the year. And it's a high need and really important position for districts that can be very difficult to fill. Do you want to expand upon any of that, Dr. Eldredge?
Absolutely. And we've all seen this. These are the vacancies that are not going away. But these are the students that need the most support. And we have to find the right people to put in those positions, and having the opportunities that our universities are providing help us to fill those vacancies. We need to continue to fill our pipeline. Yeah. We need to continue to get those people into those classrooms who really want to serve. Yeah. And so the steps that y'all have taken are helping out so much to fill those vacancies, and we're able to get them filled so much more quickly. And getting those things rolling ahead and getting our kids in the classroom and started immediately with a teacher. And so these things are coming in across Tarrant County, are filling those needs that are so desperately done.
And I, too, just want to really lift up what you said about UTA's priority on listening to what the community needs are. I've experienced that firsthand with you and all of your staff through the coalition that the Rev Partnership has built. And as UTA has gotten the Alt-Cert program off the ground, one of the pieces of feedback we were able to, the coalition was able to give your team was, we know that the most effective Alt-Cert programs have a high degree of one-on-one touch and communication and site visits and observing those prospective certified teachers in the classroom. And your team answered the call within the next week. They were out in classrooms observing the cohort of individuals who are in that Alt-Cert program and providing that individualized one-on-one feedback. And we heard the accolades and compliments just this Thursday when your team was there with the Rev convening partners to thank them for going out and doing that. So really just kudos to you and your team for when they listen, they also respond and take action on that pretty immediately to make sure that we're always driving for the most effective practices and how we're training and preparing our prospective educators.
Thank you. Yeah. We're really proud of the work we've been able to do and look forward to expanding partnerships across the region. Yeah.
And we know, too, for a profession like teaching, when there are some perceptions around it of being a pretty difficult profession and the pay being, minimal in comparison to the lift and responsibility that the role really is in our community. We know and we hear from parents too that not all parents are excited when they hear that their child is maybe interested in being a teacher. But with what Tarleton State has done with the dual enrollment piece, where high school students that are in that CTE education and training pathway, where they can earn college credits at Tarleton State for those high school classes, that is real money that parents are saving. We calculated it's up to $13,000 that parents would be saving in their Tarleton State tuition because of those credits. And all of a sudden, what looks like a path for a parent, from a parent's perspective, looks like a career path that may be long and not very lucrative. This is saying we not only value the profession in the way that we want to give you those credits before you enter college, but also there is a real tangible and quantifiable cost savings. And so curious from your perspective, what motivated Tarleton State to say, yes, we're going to do this, and we're going to figure out how to get it done? Because we know that there were some pieces related to maintaining the universities, the colleges' credentialing standards that needed to be addressed. But again, you started with yes, this is good for kids, and we're going to figure it out from there. So will you talk to that, Dr. Leach?
Sure. Oh, absolutely. So I think, again, we were responding to community needs. So hearing from school district partners, hearing the need for pathways that allowed not only the students to get the post-secondary credit that they needed on their transcripts, but also letting a certified teacher be on the district side to provide that assistance for students. We were really hearing from our partners that was a need. And so Tarleton came up with this dual enrollment to kind of satisfy that need and assist. We love that it brings our students in and gives them a sense of belonging already at the university level. And so we hope that keeps them on their pathway toward a post-secondary degree for sure.
I've had the opportunity, I happened to be at Tarleton State when some kids were getting off the bus to come for their classes there. And I would say that it was visible, the pride that these high school students had in walking onto a college campus. Sure. And if I hadn't seen it with my own two eyes, I would probably not believe the stories. But I mean, I think they all grew 3 inches in terms of how much taller they stood up. And,
sure.
And I think, that part of the experience, too, is pretty invaluable to show kids this is what it is like, a post-secondary experience. You can be a part of that, include a sense of belonging. And Tarleton State has done a really good job, too, of wrapping around and including those students in their university's culture.
Absolutely. And we have both the dual enrollment with our Tarleton Today program that reaches out to rural districts as well as districts within the Metroplex area. But we also have our dual credit program with Cowley. And so I think those are the students who are coming to our new building on the Fort Worth campus near Cowley and getting to experience that classroom culture, which I agree with you is so important to kind of start to develop that sense of belonging in the academic space.
So Dr. Eldredge, in your role, you are working with these CTE teachers and students, some of whom, and again, there's 3,800 of them across Tarrant County who have said, I want to be a teacher. So talk to us about what this is like from the district's perspective for your students to have these kinds of opportunities.
It's a game changer, and I know that's probably an overused word, but it's the truth. Being able to see these kids and we are actually part of the Tarleton Today program. Fabulous. And so our students, we started this year, and our students are getting 3 credit hours for instructional practices. We're adding 9 more on next year. We had a meeting this summer because we were launching it so quickly, and we had the parents in with the kids, and we announced this, and you could see the parents kind of sit forward and say, this is an amazing opportunity, because this opens a door to something that some of these students may have not had the opportunity before. And we get to say, you're going to walk out of a high school classroom with 3 college credit hours. You're transcripted. They may never have seen a college transcript before. This is something that literally opens a door. And then they get to come back and get 6 more. That may never have happened before. And so it really does open a door, and it makes education a true opportunity. This is something I can pursue. I really can be a teacher, because we do have kids that have opportunities. We have kids that have been mentored by their parents or through someone that's close to them into college. We have some kids that haven't been. And so it's an amazing opportunity, and it also does shine a light on, yes, teaching can be a career. Teaching is a great career. And we want to provide opportunities for you to start that before you even get out of high school. And so it's been an amazing opportunity. And we're getting phone calls from parents. And that's a great thing. You always want that. If parents are calling about it, we've done something well.
Sure. That's great.
I mean, it's not going to be a surprise to anybody. And we don't want to, we're not saying anything we don't know, that the number of individuals who is entering the teaching workforce, especially entering the teaching workforce through a 4-year college of education, has been declining over the last 10 years. And so by thinking about ways to provide pathways for these students to enter 4-year colleges of education, or if they haven't gone that route, to go back and get their alt-cert program, those are really the solutions that we're going to need to fill, right now in Tarrant County, 600 teaching vacancies. And we can do that. I believe that we can do that. If we even just took 1/5 of the existing CTE education and training students, and just 1/5 of them persisted through a pathway that got them back into their school district or back into a district in Tarrant County, that would be a solution to filling those 600 seats. But it's not going to happen unless we have pathways for them that include a direct handoff from 12th grade into higher ed, or they've gone a different route. They've become a political science major, an English major like I was, and they're like, now what is my path to teaching? And they need that alternative certification. And so, I think too, as we really continue in this conversation, we're really seeing unfold that these are answers to filling all the open seats that we need to build that robust, effective regional educator pipeline. We know that outside of the factors in a child's home, their teacher, the effectiveness of their teacher, is the number one predictor of a student's academic success. And so what you are building is really building the solution to making sure that every student in Tarrant County can have the effective teacher that our community must have the responsibility to give to our young students. As both of you ladies in higher ed think about what it took to think outside the box, to say, yes, we're going to take this on. We haven't done it before, but we're going to figure it out. It's a new thing. You have change management to navigate on your team. Talk to us about some of the successes that came about as a result of that, and some of the hurdles that had to be overcome to persist to the finish line. Dr. Cowley, do you want to go first?
So I'd say it starts first with partnership, that we all have great ideas, but we need partners to make those ideas happen. And so for all alternative certification program to come together, it took all of the superintendents across Tarrant County to say, A, yes, we think this is a good idea. And then 2, someone to say, I'll be the pilot, I'll step up and do it first. And so we were really grateful that Arlington ISD said, hey, we're right next door, we'll do it first. And so we have 75 students that are long-term substitute teachers earning their alternative certification so they can transition into full-time teachers within a year. And so that's phenomenal that we had that first step forward. And now we have a cascade of other school districts that are signing on and saying, yes, we want to be part of this as well. Thinking through, how do we achieve the mentorship? What does hybrid education look like? How do we make sure we're in the classrooms in the right way? And how do we manage the contracting process with the school districts, which sometimes can be like, we're all in bureaucracies of some sort or another. Sure. Just working through those administrative hurdles, but everybody being there in good spirits saying, we want this to happen was key.
Yeah. And then I think that, has a ripple effect, because as you have launched this alternative certification program, other higher ed partners, when we've got them together last April, their ears are perking up and they're saying, well, if UTA did it, how can I do it too? And while we want all of our kids to go to UTA, because you're here sitting in the room, we want to fill all your seats, we also know giving kids some options is good for students. And so, it's proven to be then that you can be the partner with other higher institutes of higher ed to say, and here's how you can get it done too. So that ripple effect continues kind of at the higher ed level too. So Tarleton State's a very similar example. You guys figured out how to do the dual credit and the dual enrollment partnership. And other universities have said, man, Tarleton State's doing it. We might need to figure out how to do it as well. But talk a little bit about the successes that you found along that path to get there, and some of the hurdles that had to be overcome. But your team persisted in saying, we're going to figure this out. We're going to get to the finish line for our students.
Sure. Well, and Dr. Eldredge alluded to this a little bit about the rapid nature of our start and our beginning. And I think we're continuing to grow. It's gone very well, and we're adding on new programs, new courses, new opportunities. But with any rapid growth, there's always that learning curve, and we're certainly in that. So I think, if anything, that's kind of where we are in growing that Tarleton Today program.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the K-12 part of the system has named this entire pathway the Tarrant County Future Educator Initiative. So on the K-12 side, kind of through the Rev Partnership, and Dr. Dana Eldredge was the leader in getting this accomplished with her peer CTE directors. It was really this vision of how do we take a student who has signed up for that education and training pathway, walk with them all the way through their 4-year high school experience, then on to higher ed, and hopefully right back to Eagle Mountain-Saginaw to fill those vacancies in Eagle Mountain-Saginaw's district. And as a region, we want to make sure that we're celebrating not only this career pathway of being a teacher, but career pathways across the region. And so we, in April, I think that the month of April has been decided, are going to be hosting for these Tarrant County high school students a signing day, where they are signing their commitment to be a future teacher. And what Tarleton State has built is really critical to that, because it provides them the option of continuing that education and training pathway right into a college of education, and persisting to graduation, then to come back and be a full-time teacher. So we want to make sure, too, on the student side, we're celebrating our students who have made that decision, that this is going to be their career, and that we are incentivizing them then to make that full loop back. It's really kind of a regional grow your own model, right back into the districts that they came from.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So we want to make sure to be lifting those things up and celebrating them. Sure. Dr. Eldredge, can you, thinking about kind of some of your CTE students, is there a story that stands out to you of one of the students that are in this education and training pathway, and kind of what their experience has been like from the student side?
Absolutely. We are starting to see our kiddos come back that we started with. But one story stands out. It's one of our teachers. Her name is Maddie Carter, and she came through our high school program and knew she wanted to be a teacher. And she knew that because everybody was telling her she should be a teacher. She was set to be something else. She was set to go into business, and all of her teachers were like, you really need to be in the classroom, Maddie. You really need to be in the classroom. And she took a class. She took Principles of Education. And she said, yes, I need to be a teacher. And she took that actually she started late, so she took it as a junior. And that's actually a freshman class. So she went into the instructional class, practices course. She went away to Stephen F. Austin. No offense to you two.
It's okay. It's a great school.
Love y'all.
Come for masters.
There you go. Love it. Finished out their program, came back, and is teaching for us, and is in her second year of teaching. But stood up at a Rev meeting, as a matter of fact. We took her to a Rev meeting, and she spoke about the impact that being in the education program as a high school student and getting to understand it helped her to see the love of it. And she gained it and then wanted to continue it. And she was a huge advocate at that very meeting of saying, what I learned in my program at high school, I repeated once I got to my intro classes in college. Yeah. And how do we take that barrier? How do we get rid of that for our kids who are coming out of high school now? And she was so eloquent about it. And it was like a proud mom moment, because I had watched Maddie come up through high school, and she would come back and we'd visit when she came back for holidays. But she really spoke to it and said, let them get these intro courses under them so that they move on and feel like what they've done is purposeful and not having to repeat it. And now she's also an advocate for us in our program of bringing kids in. And she's working in the middle school. Bless her. She has a special place in heaven. She works in middle school. And she's seeing those kids and she's seeing those characteristics and saying, you really need to be a teacher. You should think about that. And so we see that. And she was our first one to come back. We've now had 2 more to come back after she came back. And so we're seeing this wonderful kind of full circle moment of going through the program, going to a university, and then coming back in again. And so it's just joyful to get to see them when they come, and they'll call you and they're like, I just signed my contract. I turned my check in for my direct deposit, and it's a joy, it makes your heart full. It feeds your soul. Sure. to know that we've helped someone find their passion, and they've come back to support a community is what they're doing. And now to have the opportunities for all districts in Tarrant County that their kiddos can get these college credits in whatever manner works for them is huge, because we're just setting that pathway.
Sure. I had the honor of listening to Maddie speak, and I think if we've ever doubted the future of our communities because of who's coming up, in this next generation, Maddie makes me confident that our future's in really good hands. And as I was listening to you speak, Dr. Eldredge, it struck me that we might have some people who end up listening to this podcast who think to themselves, how is it possible that a high school student is getting college credit? Is that even right? What's going on there? So could you talk a little bit about what those courses look like that a student is taking in high school and the practicum experience that they're getting?
Absolutely.
Because I think that'll really drive home this point of the quality of instruction that is happening in our high schools across Tarrant County, and give validity to the fact that this is really deserving of college level credit.
Absolutely. So for all of us, we all run the same pathway. So we all start with Introduction to Education, Principles of Education. That's our freshman level course. Are you sure you really want to teach? This is what it looks like. And we introduce all the language, the acronyms that, of course, education has, because we speak our own language in education. And then they go into instructional practices as a junior. And they're going out every 6 weeks and doing time on our campuses from pre-K, elementary into middle, and getting time to see and absorb what does it feel like to be in a classroom. It's a short period of time, but they're also learning lesson planning and the instructional cycle and classroom management and gleaning all of that. And they're being taught by a master teacher. Yeah. Our education and training teachers in our districts are our best. I mean, they absolutely are. And then they come back as a practicum student, as a senior, and they're spending at least 250 hours in a classroom 4 days a week, really learning. We call them our student teachers is what we call them. And they're teaching and they're learning and they're growing, and they come back with these great stories of, I taught a lesson, and they tell you all about it. And so they're actually spending time in those classrooms really learning, is this what I want to do? Do I really want to do this for a living? Do I want to be with kids? Because we know teaching isn't for everyone. Mm-hmm. And I love the fact that they get to experience before they even graduate from high school. Mm-hmm. Because teaching is a calling. Mm-hmm. It really, really is. And learn now. Learn because you're going to know if that's what you want to continue to pursue, because waiting to get to student teaching later on in your college career and then realizing maybe being with small children all day is not something I want to do, has been a door open to them to say, I really do understand teaching now, because it also puts them on the other side. It's one thing when you sit in a desk and you watch what a teacher does, but when you stand where they stand, it completely changes your perception. And so we've had a lot of kids say, yes, this is exactly what I'm going to do. We've had some that said, not so much. And that's okay. That's great. You just figured out what you didn't want to do, and that's okay. I always like to say, I like the adage of, you have to kiss a lot of frogs to find out what you want to do with your life, and sometimes you're going to find out, yep, that's not it. Okay, great. Let's keep moving. But they really do get that experience. They get that hands-on. I get excited. I'm sitting here moving my hands all over the place because I love the fact that they really do get to put what we call boots on the ground and see what it's like to be in a classroom.
How empowering for them too, to be in high school, go to an Eagle Mountain-Saginaw elementary school or middle school, observe that master Eagle Mountain-Saginaw teacher of record in the classroom, then we get to teach with them, do a lesson. I imagine that must be such an empowering experience for those high school students. And then for your younger students to observe that this is a high school student teaching them, I'm sure really gives a different perspective on the education profession for just all across Eagle Mountain-Saginaw. So thank you so much. I mean, I think that really kind of paints a fuller picture of what we're talking about when we say there are high school students across Tarrant County who want to be a teacher, and they're getting college credit and really bringing to life like what that education experience looks like, and why it really validates that this is college level credit type work that they're doing. Dr. Cowley talked about partnerships, and I know partnerships are really critical to our K-12 system in making all of this work. And sometimes I like to think about it as kind of this mutually reinforcing circle. Like we need each other to be successful. We need K-12 to be successful for higher ed to be successful, and vice versa. Early on, I used to kind of describe it as a passing of the baton, like a relay race from one to the other. But I actually think that analogy is pretty inaccurate, because we don't really pass the baton and then let you guys run forward with our kids. We really need the success of higher ed to then produce those graduates that come back into our education system. And likewise, higher ed, needs a pipeline of prospective educators to fill the seats in your colleges of education. So I think a better visual kind of now is a circle, a mutually reinforcing circle. So Dr. Eldredge, talk about how those partnerships support what you're really trying to get done in CTE on the K-12 side. Absolutely.
And where we use baton or circle, we like to call it a bridge, because we will walk them over to you. We will leave them, and then you can walk them back to us.
Sure.
We
love that.
Yeah. But these partnerships are huge for us, because it really does come down to opportunity. We're able to provide opportunities that students didn't know existed for whatever reason. And so it opens the world to them to say anything is possible, and to go out and to try things that they may not have tried before, and to see things that they didn't know that they could do. And again, you look at a student and say, congratulations, you have a college transcript. And they're like, I have a college transcript? That's incredible. Yay me. Good. Now keep going with it. And then we take them by the hand and continue to walk them through those processes of dual credit or dual enrollment or whatever it is, to then say, okay, now we're going to transition you. You graduated from us. We're going to help you transition to an institute of higher education where you continue. Let's add some more credits to that transcript and finish it out, and then go on. And what do you want to do? What do you want to pursue? And so these partnerships are offering our kids across every district in Tarrant County opportunities to be more than they thought they could be, to pursue those dreams they thought would be impossible. And the other thing, too, is it opens doors for them to realize the opportunities are here. You don't have to go away. It's not an impossible thing. You can go to UTA. I want to be an engineer. Go to UTA. Go to Tarleton. You don't have to go a bazillion miles away to do that. These opportunities are local. We have astonishingly great institutes of higher education within our geographical area that are right here. And it's, I get flustered and tongue-tied over it sometimes, because they are here. And our kids realize that when they get these opportunities in high school to be a part of these programs.
I thought that was great. But I also wonder if you're practicing that pitch for your daughter, who's a junior, and thinking about maybe leaving the state.
We're trying. We keep bringing that up. So
we can offer her some college.
Yes, we can absolutely make this happen.
Dr. Leach and
Sure.
Dr. Cowley, you are both leaders who don't stop. You are driving forward. You're persisting for the next thing. And I wonder from each of you, what's next on the horizon at Tarleton State? What's the next thing on the whiteboard that you're driving your team for and pushing for that we can expect to see next?
Sure. Well, so I think along the same vein of building this teacher pipeline, one of the things that we've really thought about is grow your own programs. So not only with high school students, but those that are already in schools, in communities. How can we work with paraprofessionals, instructional aides, other district employees who already have the love with children, working with children, who are already there, already invested in the community? How can we help them move forward to become certified teachers? And so we're currently working on an initiative, a pilot with Fort Worth ISD around apprenticeships and this kind of paraprofessional instructional aid pipeline that we're really excited about. We're piloting that. We're finalizing all the contracts and all the bureaucratic kinds of things that we have to go through, and then hopefully aiming to launch that soon.
Okay, so moving those paraprofessionals to full-time teachers. Yeah. Okay.
And we're at a similar stage to you in that paraprofessional thinking, how do we upskill people who are already in the system and want to be part of our schools and our children's lives? I'd say another area that we have seen as a real opportunity is we run an extension office that provides upskilling to 37,000 people a year in North Texas and beyond. And as we look at some of those areas, they are aligned very well with CTE. So what are the holes in the CTE portfolio at our school districts across the region? And do we have curriculum that fits in there so that we can be a partner on the non-credit or certification side that would allow those students to continue to upskill and be ready for careers that may not be a 4-year degree dual credit pathway. And so I think we have opportunities to just think very holistically about our partnerships with our school districts and look at all the areas in which we intersect. We've also been having great conversations about social work and public health and other areas of need for the children in our schools and their families, and what can we do to provide wraparound services that support the whole family that is involved and engaged in our districts.
Yeah. Dr. Cowley, the CTE pathways that you're talking about kind of for upskilling and credentialing, what are some of the sectors industry sectors that those would be in?
Healthcare is a great example. There are all kinds of technical careers that do not require a college degree that students can get in that can either be a bridge on a pathway. I shared earlier an example of one of my son's friends who got his EMT certification through his high school CTE, then went to community college through a firefighter academy and is now a firefighter in our region. Yeah. Those are great examples of success. And so whether the CTE is a building block to a longer term career or whether it is that career pathway, I think there are tremendous opportunities for our students to explore all kinds of careers they didn't even know existed that can lead to meaningful career outcomes. And we want to make sure we're doing everything we can right alongside our community college partners, our school districts, to make sure we're creating every opportunity we can for the children of our region. Okay.
So, I mean, we're all, we have a little bit of spirit of friendly competition, I think, in the education system. And if both of you ladies were to, see a higher ed peer and you were to encourage them to try something new, support our regional education system, support our CTE students coming into the next post-secondary piece, what would be something that you would tell them? Dr. Cowley, you want to go first?
So I would say proximity matters. Okay. Part of why this partnership is so successful is proximity. I have the same thing on the east side of Tarrant County, that we've got all kinds of fabulous partnerships. So I'd say start local, and there are universities across our region that can create all kinds of impact with their next door neighbors. And so what can we do to solidify those partnerships, I think, is really critical to help supporting long-term success. And, you mentioned the 600 teacher vacancies. Yeah. Neither one of us is going to be able to fill that individually, although we're going to make every effort to. We need all of our higher education partners collaborating together to make sure that we're supporting and our school districts and their success.
Wonderful. Okay. I like that call to action to your higher ed peers. Dr. Leach, how about you?
Sure. I'd just say we need to continue to innovate and be creative, making sure, though, that we have a quality system in place. So I think making sure that we are looking at systemic improvements that lead to teachers, high quality teachers in classrooms that are going to stay. That's what, many times I think we're getting teachers in seats, although we do still have many vacancies, but are they staying? Are they investing in those communities and sticking around? And so if we can build systems that encourage that, not only the filling of those vacancies, but investing and staying in that community, I think we've done well.
And I think that leads into the professional development, that this isn't just a bridge back to you, it's a bridge back and forth continuously so that we can support the continual professional growth. You got your principalship certification through UTA. That's an example of that continued pathway and partnership. And so we just want to see the circle and the bridge.
Yeah. All the metaphors.
Yes.
Dr. Eldredge, what would you tell your peer ISD CTE directors about what makes partnerships like this so successful? What would you say they need to copy and paste when they're exploring similar opportunities?
I think it's about being open and realizing that there's going to be starts and stops and there's going to be bumps along the way, but just keep going and work with your partners and keep an open line of communication to say, okay, that didn't work. Let's try it again. And know it's going to take time. I think that's one of the things is we're all short on time, especially if you're in education. Put in the time, put in the phone calls, put in the emails, and keep trying, and come to the table with an open mind. But at the same time, we also ask that of our IHEs to come with an open mind and do something out of the box. In education, sometimes we get a little bit scared of change, and be open. Be present in what is going on. And for us in districts, talk to your kids. Yeah. Ask your kids, what's going to make this easier for you? How can we help you get to where you want to get to? What works within your system? How do we work to know that you're still a high school student? I think that's one of the things we get. People will come to us with these great ideas, and they're like, it's okay. It'll only take 8 hours a day. I have a high school student. These are high school students who are still in high school and still have to take all of their graduation credits. Yeah. How do we take a system that may have worked for something that needed to be 6 weeks long, 8 hours a day for an adult? How do we change that into something that works for a high school student who is still taking pre-cal and AP English 4 and government and ECHO and all those kinds of things? It's just about keep coming to the table and being open.
This fall, Rev Partnership launched a Caught You Being Awesome social media campaign. And the campaign was that the Rev team independently looked at Tarrant County education data and caught school districts being awesome. Where were they excelling? Where were they an outlier? Where were they surpassing the state average? Came out to school districts and did video content. Again, it was all for the purpose of celebrating what's happening in our public education system. And as I sit here today listening to the three of you ladies talk, I couldn't be more proud of the leaders that we have in Tarrant County who have said yes for kids and have said, I'm going to persist and be determined and disciplined in continuing to take one step forward to make sure that every day is a little bit better for the 750,000 kids who call Tarrant County home. And so as we move to wrapping up, I wonder if there's just one thing that you want to leave us with that you are most excited about that's happening at your university or your school district, because we want to make sure that we're wrapping up celebrating the wonderful work that's happening in each of your institutions. So do you want to start, Dr. Cowley?
So I'll say that it's that yes and recognizing who we're serving that matters. We know that once those teachers are in the classroom, we want to see them persist with their education and continue to grow. And this past week, U.S. News & World Report issued its latest rankings, and we were ranked number 15 in the country for our online master's programs in education, which is just a testament not only to saying yes, but also delivering high quality instruction so that we can develop those teachers and help them be successful.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Congratulations. I think most proud of our response to community needs and being a good partner. And I think, that we see that both in the teacher education, in the College of Education, but on the university wide kind of scale as well. And I think we're proud of that, of reaching out and being a good partner. And we hope to continue to be open.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think the most proud I am about being part of Eagle Mountain-Saginaw ISD, and I've been there for 21 years, and is that we work to reach every student. I could spout off all the accolades that we've gotten and all those things, but I think it really boils down to looking at each student and saying, how do we help you get where you want to get to? And I say that not just as an employee, I say that as the mother of a student in Eagle Mountain-Saginaw ISD, that we really do seek to see every student, the individual, and help them help them get to where they want to get to.
That's wonderful. Well, ladies, thank you so much for your time today, but a bigger thank you for the commitment you've made to the professions that you have chosen, and for every decision that you've made to keep students at the heart of what you prioritize as the number one top priority in the decisions you make as leaders of all the roles that you have across our city. We are a better place to call home because we have leaders like you that are supporting our public education system. So thank you very much for your time today, for allowing us to learn from your wisdom and the work that you're doing. And thank you, too, for the work that you're going to walk out this door and continue to do for our region.
Well, and thank you for being such an important convener of conversations that need to happen to support the success of our kids.
So, thank you, Jennifer.
Absolutely. I echo that.
Okay.
Thanks for doing all you do.
Thanks, Dr. Eldredge. Thank you for listening to The Review, a Rev Partnership Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to subscribe and follow us so that you never miss an episode. For more information on Rev Partnership, please visit our website at revpartnership.org and follow us on social media. Until next time, thank you.